بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
هذه مدارس الجامعة حبا تروي الدرب تعليما وخيرا، نجوز الدرب حبا للمعالي وثاني دفعة كنا البدورا. فهذه مدارس الجامعة حبا تروي الدرب تعليما وخيرا، نجوز الدرب حبا للمعالي وثاني دفعة كنا البدورا، دفعة كنا البدورا.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا، من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا مولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. As a Muslim, it's very important, in fact paramount, that the Muslim seeks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure and seeks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's desire and request from the Muslim in all activities of his life. Whatever sphere of activity it may be, whether it's within the medical field or the social field or personal relationships or business transactions, one must first and foremost seek what it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has permitted within that and what it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made impermissible. Now for some of us this knowledge is accessible to us, but for the great majority of us we have to seek this knowledge from others. It is based upon that I'm today discussing with you the Adab and Istifta, which is the etiquettes of posing questions to scholars, posing questions to a Mufti. Because in all human interactions and in interactions or in our own behavior in privacy, there are etiquettes. And Islam came to establish etiquettes in all we do. So I've sort of split this up into 4 areas, and you can find this in the written form on our website. And the first thing is intention. The intention for posing a question should be to a scholar or to a Mufti to ascertain knowledge. And the reason why this individual is ascertaining knowledge is so that they can deal with this particular situation in their life. In other words, they want to, as I've already introduced, act according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wishes. It is not to debate with the Mufti or to challenge him with what he responds. Similarly, the Mufti is not expressing his opinion as such, but rather he is highlighting the position of his particular legal school. So it's not a Mufti that is making something halal or haram. All he is doing is highlighting what his particular legal school adheres to and what is the Muftabihi position. Now we have an area where everything is ridiculed, and even this Muftabihi position is ridiculed. And we are told that we can seek within the madhab or even seek answers outside of the madhab. This is not what the majority of the scholars and the majority of Muslims have followed over the centuries. So it's important that we don't ridicule our own faith and we don't ridicule our own tradition. And so when we approach this individual, this Mufti, he, as I said, I've already mentioned, it's not that he is making something halal or he is making something haram. He is highlighting and raising a particular point and bringing that to our attention. Also, it is not binding upon us or required upon us to demand evidence from this Mufti as to why he's adopted this position. His statement as a legal expert is a proof in itself. The key point here is, what is our intention for coming to him in the first place? Our intention for coming to him in the first place is to find out what it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala requires from us in this particular circumstance or situation that we are in. The second point is selection. How do we go about selecting somebody to pose our questions to? Well, the Mufti should be a reputable Mufti and one who individual considers to be technically gifted, adequately qualified, pious, have taqwa, and one who lives by his knowledge and imparts his knowledge to others. This is key because we want to the best of our ability, to the best of our knowledge, want to approach the individual who we feel is the best qualified to deal with the situation. It is not appropriate to go from one Mufti to another seeking a particular answer, and once we find that particular answer, then we apply that answer in our lives. Because in that case, we are not following Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wishes, We are rather following our own whims and desires. And all we're doing really to approach a mufti is to legislate, to justify, to make halal, if I could say, that particular position we want to adopt. Well, at the end of the day, we're not kidding anybody, we're not fooling anybody. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is aware of exactly what we're doing. Key point, just to re-emphasize what I've already mentioned in point 1, is what is our intention in the first place. And whenever we are even intending to ask or pose a question to somebody, our intention is the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We would like to know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has wished or desired from us or requires from us in a particular circumstance. Third point is the question. The question itself should be posed clearly with all the necessary details. If it is written or typed or text messaged or used some other social media outlet to send a message, then it should be reasonably grammatically sound to allow the mufti to understand the question. It may require the mufti to correspond with the questioner, so a means of contact should be supplied so that he can contact as and when he chooses. The context for each question is very important, as the response is based upon the context. So just giving the question without a context would not allow the mufti to be able to fairly and adequately, and to be honest, accurately respond to your query. If the question is posed by phone or when the mufti is outside of his Istifta, then the individual should not expect an immediate response, as the mufti could be preoccupied or busy with some other engagement. And even if he is available in his Istifta, then again he may be preoccupied, and as a result he may give a time for the question to call back, or will take their details and respond at a later time. We must be patient with that regard. We can be somewhat impatient by posing a question and expecting an immediate response. I will touch upon that in time as well as we discuss the question. There's also a good habit and good etiquette to highlight the speed of response you require. This does not necessarily mean that the mufti will respond in that time, but at least he can decide that if he is available to respond to your query, or he may say to you that I don't have the time frame that you request, I cannot meet that time frame. So some speeds of responses could be immediate, which, as it says, immediate is within at the point of contact. Could be urgent, which you could say is within 24 hours. Standard, approximately a week. And it could be at your earliest convenience, which is whenever the individual or the mufti is available. It's not appropriate or good manners to continuously harass the mufti for a response. He will usually have other responsibilities, not only answering queries, but possibly teaching, lecturing, researching, writing, and many other responsibilities. So we have to take into consideration his busy schedule. And bear in mind that even the simplest of questions can take hours looking through pages of text. So it's not as though we get a simple question and we expect a response immediately. In other words, a quick question does not guarantee a quick response. And you hear that many a time, either on text message or at the beginning of a call, I've got a quick question. And as I respond, yes, you might have a quick question, but I don't necessarily have a quick answer. So in other words, a quick question does not guarantee a quick response. The question should not stay within the question boundaries or parameters. It is not appropriate to set parameters for the mufti. So some individuals may state, give me evidence from the Quran and Sunnah and please respond to X, Y, Z. That's twofold. One is the parameters that we're basing upon the mufti himself, and secondly is the reason is that the majority of the muftis will follow a particular madhab. And as he follows a particular madhab, he will give you answers from the reputable books of fiqh from his madhab. It's not that he will go directly to the verses of the Quran, and it is not that he will go directly to a hadith, because the books of fiqh are based upon them. And I do touch upon this topic in one of my videos, which hopefully, inshallah, will be made public in the coming weeks, with respect to, do we go directly to the Quran and the Sunnah, or do we follow the position of one of the four schools? And finally, the answer is specifically for the questioner, once the answer is obtained. And it's not wise to share with someone, as that context could be different. And if their context is different, and their response is given bearing in mind your context, then their answer will not fit with their particular query. And also we should try to act upon the advice of the mufti as he has detailed. It's quite pointless to pose the question and once we get a response to not act upon it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the ability to act upon how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes from us to act and requires us to act. Ameen. Wa akhiru da'wana. And alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.